Well, hello guys and welcome back to my channel. In this video we're gonna go over pbFarmer'S firmware, overclocked firmware for Al0, and I'm gonna talk about my issues that I have with my with this miner right here. So I will we'll start with setting firmware. Actually, no, we'll start with the problem that I had. It's actually happened when I overclocked this miner, but I think it's just coincidence, and it's just kind of like unlucky miner. Probably I don't see it will happen within. I have probably 20 of these units that I used, and I never had that issue before, so it's first time, always something. But hopefully this video helps someone who would have similar issue with your miner. So right on the stock firmware I have around 400 gigahash hashing rate. I was mining for about 2 weeks with this miner already, over 2 weeks, and it's pretty stable over 400, probably 405 to 408 average of 24 hours. And the power consumption here, now the chip's temperature went up a little bit at this time, so I think it's roughly, let me open iceriver monitor tool so we could see that together. Yeah, it's over 84, between 75 and 84, which is pretty good actually temps for to get the higher hash rates. And that's where the miner wants to be, somewhere around that, between 70 and 85 degrees on the chips, and I think we are in that happy medium range. Our board temperatures in and out 59, 55. We cannot see the power stage temperature by this monitor tool, but what's cool is we can actually see the clocks are 625, and we will be setting, so we can increase that to 700 based on the pbFarmer firmware. So you need to go ahead and go on the GitHub and read throughout, especially this known issue part, because we're gonna go through it when we come back, actually, especially when you restore back to factory setting. For any reason there is gonna be there are a few issues that you need to take care of it to be able to see your miner on the web GUI again. So now from here, so make sure you go read all of it, don't just read little things. I kind of read it through pretty quickly, and I know, to be honest, I kind of missed that part with HTTPS, which essentially everybody else having problems with not noticing this specific paragraph, the last paragraph of known issues. Okay, so now the process very simple. What I really want to talk about, what happened to me. So you could see my miner right now, it's connected to the miner. I have this green light flashing, there is no issue, so we're mining, and 103 watts at the 12 volt power consumption. So it's when it's a little bit cooler, the temp looks like the power consumption goes almost to 100 watts. Sometimes I even seen to 99 watts at 12 volt, but when it's getting warmer and the chips goes over 90 degree, you will see this number increase. So really pay attention on your chips temperature. Do not think it's over 90 degree on the chips. It's not that good for the miner and for the power consumption. All right, so be mindful on that. Also make sure read, and when you do an overclocks, you are voiding the warranties, your factory warranties. There goes through the fees, what you're paying on these overclocks, how do you set the features and all that. So make sure you go through this all stuff. There is a lot of stuff to read, don't skip any of that, and you will get pretty clear picture of this overclock. This is my first time installing pbFarmer'S, and I figured it wasn't that nothing really hard. There is nothing really difficult compared to the Tswift firmware, and we'll go over the comparison. I want to point it out on few items here and there. So let's start with the problem. Okay, so as I'm probably gonna at the same time, so we're not just rebooting the miner for no reason, so I'm gonna set the overclocks. So I already store it in my folder here. So this is when you download BGZ file from GitHub, you will have it in your folder. Make sure you find it and click update. Now it will not update this time for me, and the reason is I have iceriver monitor tool running, so I need to close or turn or stop iceriver monitor. So let's wait till it's failed. I'll show you. Alright, see, it's failed, so it will not update your firmware. So make sure you stop this. I did it on purpose, and now you have to stop this and then click update. So this is one of the issues you may have when you try to update and your iceriver monitor tool is open and running. So the next step is once you are when you updating, what I'm gonna do here is actually on my gonna remove one of my fan spoofers. If you notice there on the picture, on the video here, I have my Al0s running on the fan spoofers, and let me show you why. Alright, so actually I have the operation succeeded, so let me reset the miner, reboot it. Okay, and while it's rebooting, we're gonna go back to the my miner, and I'll show you what I did. So it's basically, it's pretty typical on your mods. You just do your heatsinks. You don't need to really replace your thermal pads if they in a good shape when you open the miner. And your thermal paste, actually I had to replace it because I soldered my connectors to the power supply, because I almost doing 12-volt power connection. And so you could see I attached right now my this monitor, power monitor, so we can see the actual power consumption of the unit. Let me adjust slightly so we could see both power monitor and my unit right there. Okay, so basically I have this shroud that is directional and it's pointing the air only inside the miner here. And what I like about it, it's only cooling down the MOSFET's heatsinks, not the body of the miner. The other shroud seems to be going over and pushing a lot of air on this miner, which creates the potentially very cool temperature on the chips, which these miners, they don't like to be under 65 degree. You will not perform. Even under 70, I think they're tripping a little bit. All right, so now I think the miner is almost gonna restart. We still have the green and red solid, but when the miner restarts, we will see the first issue here with the light. So pay attention to the light. You will see that light will start blinking. So we haven't restarted completely yet. You could see the power is only 1 watt, so the unit still processing reboot. Okay, 8 watts, so now it's rebooted. And it started the miner, because we see 8 watts, so that's where the process when it started to boot. So immediately after the miner started booting, we see this red light obviously start blinking, and here's why. Well, in this case, what I did for this test is obviously I just removed fan spoofer. If your fan, one of the fan or 2 fans not connected, if you did any adjustments and you forgot to connect back or not properly connect your fan, so anything related to fan will have this red light blinking. If you have red and green blinking, that's a different issue. So red light blinking mainly is with the fan, or when it's overheats, it's also, I believe, blinks red sometimes, but the green is solid if I'm not mistaken. But when it's red and the green blinking, there is a pull issues, I believe. So anyways, let's go over what I just did. I just pull out one of the fans and we have red light blinking. This will not prevent the miner to start and show on the web GUI, but it will never start mining. So we see always 8 watt power. See, like there is 8 watts, so it will not increase here. It will always stay like around 7-8 watts. And the miner will not start, even though it booted, it will not start mining. So everything good with connection. We have Ethernet connected and all that, so that's not the issue really, is the power of the fans, or the fans not powered, or some other issues. Now let's go to step by step what are the fans problems we could have. So number one is obviously not connecting fans, just like I disconnect one of the fan, right, spoofer. The other problem, your fan connectors not properly there, or hopefully not reverse, because you can't really reverse them unless you force them real hard. And secondly, maybe loose connection, and or your wires on the fan got damaged somehow when you installed the cover back. One time I did before, kind of was in the rush and did this pretty quickly, and the wire went here right over the screw. When I tightened the screw, it basically damaged the wire of the miner, and it was the same issue, exactly same problem on one of the miners I have. So anyways, for this Al0, it's not very different from any KS0s, KS0 Pros, and KS0 Ultras, so it's very similar setup here as far as the board settings, the chips and all that kind of, right? So now I didn't have any of the issues with the fans. I checked the fans, I replaced the fan even, I tested them out, and they work perfectly. So now when the system only booting, and this red light will go when it testing the fan at the boot, it was supposed to start the fans to 3000 RPM. If for any reason it cannot read 3000 RPM on the fans, that your system will get the red light. And on the actual web GUI, so now as we go and just install the pbFarmer'S firmware, it will prompt us to the this is not private connection, right? So we're gonna click advance and click on proceed here. Now when we back in the miner and we do just log in, we're gonna have another software disclaimer that you have to read, because you potentially or you basically you're voiding your warranty by doing any overclocks. And we are in the miner. Here in the fan speed we have this issue also red, and you could see there is no fan speed on the fan 1, because we just removed it, right? So if that happened on before, so when it's mining starting, if there's 2 case scenario, when mining starting and you have no fan, or the fan could not be reported to 3000 RPM for any other reason. So what's other reason? I kind of figured if the fan jammed, like when you, especially like when I did mine right there, right, and the Greater Good Mining pulling all his fans also out, it's a very good idea just to have the airflow cleared out on the other side, and so the air flowed in clearly without fans being on the way, just right through the space here on the middle of the miner inside, right? Now when you tight these screws, you can potentially twist the fan a little bit, and your fan not gonna freely rotate. So what's gonna happen is it's gonna jam a little bit, and it will not report the fan speed properly, or not gonna get to 3000 RPM, or potentially something like piece of paper or something was next to it, and or wherever wire, and it got jammed in the fan and it didn't speed up to 3000 RPM. You will have exactly the same issue, because on the start it didn't show up in the system test that the fan capable of doing 3000 RPM, and it will not start mining, and you will have this red light warning. So let's say you test it all out and check it out and you had none of these issues like I did. So hopefully it was a simple fix. You just connected back the miners, and all you gotta do actually is restart the miner, because if I put the fan spoofer back in, Let's say it's my fan and I connect it. It's gonna fix the issue here on the web GUI. So if I refresh, now it's gonna show my fan speeds there, but it's still in the red on the fan speed because the warning was already in recorded in the miner until I reboot the miner, power reset or restart the miner, not factory I don't need to do factory restore for that purpose. So I need just to reboot the miner. Now if I reboot, it will go up normally. In my case, it wasn't that problem. Everything was connected. I checked and tested all the fans. The fans were freely, even I disconnect them, so they're all freely can spin. But the issue was with my power at the miner, and really how I had to determine that, I had to get a little jumper wire there is, and I'm gonna show you here on the gonna zoom into this to the other screen real quick for you. Let's do that. And so you guys could see that right over here. And let me just focus on these fan connectors. Okay, so we are now at the fan. I have to be careful because the miner is on. Okay, so this is my fan connector right over here. So what I have here now is to test the fan power at the fan. So I always supposed to have power at the fan constant. In our case, some fans are 12 volt, but iceriver, this Al0 and all the other KSO are 5 volt fans. So I should have 5 volt at this connection and add the positive and negative. That's the first two connectors there. So for that, I'm gonna get the basically my multimeter here, and I'm gonna set to the voltage here. I'm gonna set the multimeter right there so you could guys see it, and we're gonna go and I'm gonna grab one negative there terminal right over here so you could guys see it. Okay, so let's put the tester here. Alright, so I'm grabbing the negative connector and I'm gonna push down against the positive right there, right? So you see there is a 5.1, so 5 volt is fine. 5.1, that's the voltage at the fan. So in my case I had 3.5 volts and it was dropping sometimes to 3 volts, and so I understood that's some problem with the power getting to the fan, not the fan itself. So if you would have similar issue, there's a bunch of, if you see there on the right side, there's a bunch of these little parts here, and they're all related to the fan power supply, right? So in my case, what I did is I basically touched it a little bit and I pushed down on these things just to see if they're nothing separated. At first I thought maybe connector, but the connector was fine. I kind of pushed it and it would still didn't give me the full voltage. But ridiculously, this little chip, when I pushed it down to it, I would get immediately 5 volt at these connectors here. So let's look at that chip right there. Let me zoom in a little bit more to it so maybe we could see that. Okay, so you could see this B22. It's really is not the chip, it's the ferrule beat, I believe, according to Crypto440. Go ahead and go check it out, his channel. He's doing crazy stuff for these miners. He replacing chips and all that. So this little ferrule, actually, it's supposed to have 0 resistance between two of these terminals. If you measure here and here, you should have 0. Have to be careful. 0 resistor, right? So you can replace it, he said, just basically with 0 ohm resistor, because it's all it is kind of like a little jumper, but it's also works as a filter. Now, to me, it also maybe works as a little bit as the fuse as well, but I'm not sure. Probably not much as a fuse, but more as a filter to the power source of the miner. So when I did and squeeze kind of this solder, is really soft, and I think I kind of get the full connection to it, but I think I need to solder that completely to the board. But right now I got full connection, and I got this 5 volt going on and no issues. So I believe, hopefully, at first I thought hopefully there is no crack in this ferrule, right? But then I don't have to replace it, but luckily it's just a connection probably issue. I hope that's all it is to it. So now see the red light continue blinking even though we connect, even though I'm gonna put back this fan spoofer, and you see there nothing gonna change to the miner until we actually reboot the miner. So really what I need to do, I need to go ahead and click on the very right corner and reboot or do reset. Can see in the screen there, it's right there on the right. You choose reboot there, and you basically confirm restart the machine, and now the machine is gonna start rebooting. So we don't need any more our microscope. I'm gonna put back so you could see the light on machine and the power consumption at the same time when we do overclock. So from 100 we were around 103 watts, right, or 104 watts maximum I was getting. Before I was getting, when it was cooler, about 100 watts on this right there, I think right about here. Okay, so we could see the power there clearly. So now it's gonna reboot. We are getting the need to get the different screen there, just this, and our red and green are together. The power is 0, so when it's gonna start, we're gonna see the power gonna start going up. All right, like right now 6 watts, so that's kind of booting process, so we know there's a booting. And as soon as the booting process started, we have access to login screen. We're gonna just get our login admin also same way, and 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and we're going back to the miner web GUI. Now we have fan speed now in green right over here, so we have no issue. We know we have no issue with the fan, right? And we have fan speed showing up properly here, even if I'm using fan spoofers. And because I have this external fan, I'm gonna set it up on the different temperature control sensor. If you're interested, just go ahead and check in my Discord channel in the shopping for KS0s. Bunch of the items that I'm using for my K0 Ultras, K0 Pros, and the now for Al0. So let's look at that power consumption here. It's 96 watts already, and obviously we have not overclocked, so it's pretty much standard settings there. So at this point, what we're gonna do, we're gonna go ahead and click on the miner. Now here you have another warning. You have to click understand, read basically what it's for, and also you have to add the pool. So if you don't add pool there right away, you're basically mining somewhere else or not mining at all. So, and then you click save, and now another potential issue you may have is adding the pool. So you can add what I figured. I actually did real time, and while I was recording, and my recording didn't save. So I may do it again. I'm gonna try it. But if you do more than 8 additional pool addresses here, you're gonna basically restrict access to this miner settings altogether. So if you have 3, I guess we're gonna have to check on every single time I do it. And at some point when I was at 9, I could not longer go to miner setting. It would basically kick me out. I'm gonna need to show you in the real time, but before we go that route, so just the warning, make sure don't add too many pools. Okay, so I don't think anybody adding more than 3 pools, and I don't think there are any even 3 pools available, more than 3 pools, right? I mean, probably is, but if we go to the what do we have? Well, yeah, we do have a bunch of pools actually on. So potentially, if you're setting up multiple pools, it's possible that you go over 8 and you're gonna restrict yourself going into the miner. So yeah, be mindful, do not set more than 8. I would not set more than 5 probably, because 5 I tested was going back and forth okay. With, I'm not sure about total 8, but after 8 it's got me, as soon as I added 9s, it actually restrict me going back to the miner settings. So I'm gonna do my settings here. You have to check yours and do gradually. I already kind of tested several times, so I kind of know where I need to be. So I'm gonna do my settings here, and so we're gonna go and look at the power consumption, because now when we're setting our overclocks, also what's cool, so as soon as I set overclocks, you notice the power kind of dropping down, and it will do it several times, I believe. Very interesting. So I'm gonna go back and forth just to make sure my settings here saved, and take a look at the power. It went to 110, but it will drop several times to almost like 10 watts, and then go back to 110 and then 120 until it reaches the full probably speed. But it will take a while until it's actually go and set up fully here. So if we can go back and look at our hash rate, we're not gonna see anything because it haven't been any even 5 minutes yet. So we'll have to go through another 5-minute process, because take a look, it's just reset it to the 10 watts and now it went to 114. So it will be keep on doing that until we actually get to the full clocks, I guess. Anyways, what else I was gonna mention here? So when you go and do your miner settings, so besides the pool, so don't go over 8 pools, right? And also here on the fan configuration, so that's the main difference, I think, right there as well, between the Tswift firmware, when we have on our fans only same as the factory settings. It's if you don't set anything, it's going to be after setup, or if you can do you can do your fan specific fan settings. Here you also have fixed speed and asic control. So those are two are probably similar. I'm not sure how fixed works here. If it works pretty fixed like on the iceriver, usually standard, and the overclock Tswift tool, when you set it at the beginning of the mining, it will reset back. So let's say I put 100. After 5 minutes, at the very start of the booting, it will reset my fan speed again to after speed. I'm not sure why, so I really have to set that fan speed after like it start fully hashing, and then it works perfectly. But here I'm not sure, probably similar stuff here, but the target temperature, that's the new thing. You can set, let's say, the chip temperature 80, that it's a kind of average that you want to keep your chip temperature there. And then you can set your minimum 10 or 20, and then 70 for board, because you don't want a board go too hot. So that's a cool features that you can set it up, that you never had that option on the Tswift. And another thing is adjusting your offsets right here, so you don't need to reinstall different firmware. You just install once and you tweak with that. So but it does take a little while to kind of adjust it and get used to it, but there's nothing major to it. So once you start mining, you see this light go green on the 5-minute hash rate. And let's see what we have on the power consumption. 121 watts. I think I'm going about to 124 watts with this firmware going to 75 gigahash. So I am, if I open iceriver monitor tool, right, and I'll go read, I'm gonna immediately see we set to 700 clocks, and our obviously our voltage is up a little bit, and our temperature we can see for each chip right there, all the 12 chips here. So which is cool to kind of have this option. There are all the other board temperatures here. Besides, we don't have access to this temperature, which is right here, power stages. The power stages is something added here, so that's a second difference, right? I mean, second a big point there, which you cannot see anywhere on the standard overclocks or Tswift overclocks, or even iceriver monitor tool. So there is a nice add-on to it, right? So it's a nice feature that you have the ability to see that. And also what I like is you don't just see immediate temperature, you see this graph, so you have kind of record of what it was before, you know, like, or sort of speak like the record. What's the trying to get how many minutes there? Oh yeah, so it's like an hour. Well, basically you have to be long enough to see like a longer, I don't know, it's probably go to up to 2 hours, I guess. And my guess would be just because you have this 2-hour rating here for the clock, 5 minutes, 30 minutes, and 2 hours. So I guess that will be your probably 2-hour range, which is really nice to see like what happened in 2 hours. Did you have like a drop or temperature increase somewhere, and what's going on there, right? So I think it's a very, very cool stuff to have like a diagram for everything, not just only your hash rate, because you could have the hash rate there, but then it's not probably enough information. Although I like Tswift firmware that you just set and go. Basically, I used on all of the other miners. I set to all my ultras to 720 gigahash, and they've been running pretty smoothly. I haven't even go back and check. I probably need for probably several weeks already. But I'm checking just total hash rate. If I get in 4 terahash and then 4.3 terahash, I'm good on 6 miners, right? So anyway, so here I have one miner that I overclocked over a day ago, and it's been doing pretty good, except I think it's good here on the temperature, board temperature, and the chip temperatures also seems to be around 79-80, which is really, really nice, because I've set that target between 70 and 80, so that's a really, really cool feature there. And also the only part is the hash rate fluctuating is not totally clear to me. I would love to see it a little bit more kind of like stable there, but I'm still happy it's going to 450, so it's how it's supposed to be. So I think it's pretty much taken this rate, this hash rate, right? I'm gonna have to see how it's doing on my obviously pool, just to make sure I don't have any issue with workers on the pool. Obviously my second one I've been restarting back and forth, so but on the pool it seems to be doing okay at the hour 465, 471. I'm gonna need to see after 24 hours what's gonna be my 24 hours rate. Right now it's showing 696, but that's not correct because I actually cannot see that. It's showing 738 here, but it's not correct because I used 2 miner addresses, 696 here, because 2 miners I did AL01 instead of separating them by accident. Anyways, now they'll be separate and I could have a good record after that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So what else on the firmware? What else? There is something you have to read about the token. I'm not gonna go over these details. You can change your password. You don't need to do anything with the network. Certificates, there is description there what you need to do with that part if you want to. And yeah, so since I'm new to it, I'm not gonna go into details. I'm mainly wanted to point it out in this video is the problems you could potentially have with your miner. So especially with my fan issues, right? So the power fan, when you have the red light blinking, that's what you're gonna have. So right now I have 124 watts, so that's roughly where I was last time, but it will increase higher if my chip's temperature goes higher. So for example, if I go and reduce my fan right now, external fan, I can reduce to almost 200 RPM. My chip's temperature will increase to over 90 degree. Right now it's around 80, which is 80 to 78 to 84, which is still nice temperature. But now I turn down a little bit fan just to show you. It will take just a few minutes and we'll see the difference over here with the power reading. It will go up as soon as my chips here are gonna reach higher temperature than 90 degree. So that's what I was gonna point it out here, and it's cool to have this all monitors right there built in the system. So what else? So we did dialed up the miner overclock, so we know our power consumption roughly there, 124 watts. Yeah, so my chip's starting to go up higher in temperature, so we will see increase very soon. And also I want to go through the process of changing or restoring to the factory settings, this whole process again, just so you could see that it's all safe. And when you process, you're gonna probably see a couple issues that you have to clear before you see it on the web GUI, just because of that HTTPS issue, right? So we'll go over that in a minute. So for now, what else I was gonna point it out? Okay, so that's the power consumption right there. So see, I already increased to 125.6, and let's refresh, see how am I doing on the chips. It's probably going up higher now. Yeah, definitely see it's going close to 90 degree. And as soon as we're gonna reach and exceed 90 here, it's 87 my high, so over 90 I wouldn't mind with the chips over 90, because then you potentially losing a little bit of hash rate and also your power consumption going up and up and up. That's my personal kind of notice there. I haven't seen any documentation about it, but yeah, you're gonna see that increase of your power consumption, and possibly you're gonna increase the amperage. Well, I mean, you will. If your power goes up, your amperage goes up on your load, on your the barrel connector. So with the 12 volts, I wouldn't recommend to go to barrel connector and overclocks. Even this 12% overclocks already exceeding 10 amps, which is above what your barrel connector should be loaded to. So you're pretty much have to be under 10. So right now you're at the max and risking to have your miner to damage your connector. And it's not that you may have like a purchase quality cable and stuff, but rated for 20 amp, but look what happened. This is what happens right there. This barrel connector internal part gets ripped off from the miner right there. Okay, so you basically kind of like melting together, and when you're pulling out your male connector, you pull out with that connector the middle part of your barrel connector and damage inside your miner. So see, the temperature is probably going up. Let's take a look what we are. 89. See, it's only 89 on the highest chip, 90. Okay, so it just turned to 90 and we already at 126 watts. So we already 3 watts more, which is not a huge difference, but as you go further, you're potentially increasing your wattage there. So I'm gonna increase the fan temperature so we're not going over 90, and we'll keep it under 85. So I like to have it between 70 and 85. I think that's kind of my in my opinion, very good. Even going over 85, I think a little bit, it's probably not necessary. Going under 70, it's when your hash rate reduces. So kind of if you can have all the chips around 75, 78 would be ideal, like hovering around 80, right? But usually you would have this between low and high, right? 84, like I have 90, 80, so about 10-degree difference. So I would say probably 75, 85 if you in the 10-degree difference. And as soon as we increase the fan speed, we will now start slowly cooling down, and we will see a little bit cooling on the dropping on the power. Okay, so what else? That's it for this. Obviously there's more to it, to this overclocks. You have to really play with this and get familiar. This is my first time, I mean second day. Really like it. There is no issues whatsoever, other than, like I said, to not put more than 8 pool addresses, because you get restricted. Probably gonna do that just to show you what I mean. Okay, so far I added 5 pools. Let's test it out. We can go back to the web GUI, no problem. Let's refresh, make sure we can get all the reading there. Alright, no problem. And let's scroll down, so we have all 5 of them. And let's go back to the miner. Let's see. Okay, and we can go back and edit. So we're gonna add more pools and definitely test at 8 because that's where usually it's got me at 8. Alright, so let's do this. We'll save the 6 and then let's do 7. Let's test at 7 because I don't know at what point it will actually block you out, just to make sure. Maybe 7 will already restrict you. Okay, so I have 7 pools. Let's go back because I didn't test pool by pool. I kind of went, alright, so 7 pools, you're still good. See, like no problem. You can go back to the miner settings and you could see all the 7 pools here. So let's go to add one more and test it out, the 8. I believe that's the maximum. Alright, and let's go back to home and we could see 8 pool there. Alright, no problem, right? And then we'll go back to miner. Okay, so let's add the number 9. That's where you're probably gonna start to have the issue. So works with the 8, I can confirm that now, because before it was kinda, I saved it at once 8 and then I did 9 and 10. See, now it told me request time out and deleted all the pools after I did number 9. So that's what you're gonna have the issue right here. So you can load the web GUI, you can see all this 9, but as soon as you added 9, you are pretty much done. You have to reset your to factory setting and install back your Overclock's firmware. See, like I'm gonna go here, it just kicks me out basically. Let me remove that screen so you see what happening here is just I'm logging in. Normally it's showing all the data here, hash rates, but I cannot do any more changes in the miner. If I go here, it's just gonna kick me out. Alright, so make sure 8 pools for this specific firmware. I don't know if that's gonna be fixed or not in the future, but here you go, this info I never seen that. Somebody posted that before. Maybe I just kind of missed it altogether, but I did it because I'm still gonna reset for you to factory settings, right? So it doesn't really matter to me that I bricked it my miner access. So I still bricked it miner access, right? That's what it is. So let me go back, and what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna do factory reset, but I'm gonna do it by holding and just do the hard reset. I'm gonna hold 30 seconds here, almost 30 seconds. It will start until it will start blinking red 3 times. That's what I usually do, and once it blinks red 3 times, then I'm good to go, and it will reboot. Also, during that process, what I like to do is I'd like to stop iceriver monitor tool. Okay, so just so I don't prevent. Okay, so it's switching for me 3 times. Okay, and I'm good to go. Probably a little more than 3, but just to make sure. And I was at 126 watts, so that's your power consumption at 12 volts overclocked right now. But again, at the power at the wall, it's gonna be more. So if you're gonna want to check it out, make sure you go to Greater Good Miner, check his video. He's done this video on asic overclocking guide, and it's pretty nice. So he talks about that and all that goodies, what you need to do with the miner, with the settings, and how do you set it up. And Tswift, he's done that more than I. This is my new first time, so check it out, his videos, really great. Go to Crypto440, check it out, his video for replacing bunch of the chips and stuff, a lot of time. Okay, so now we are in the process of factory resetting this miner. So now you see the power drop to 0, so that basically mining restarts completely. And now we're gonna get like 1 or 2 watts reading, and then as soon as we go to the 5, okay, 10 watts, sometimes it's 8 watts, 6 watts. Now it's the booting process. So we are about at the booting process, and now the miner gonna go and boot, and we may see, here you go, green light blinking. So we should see it in the web GUI, right? But we will not. Let me refresh the page and show you why. So I'm gonna refresh, and you're gonna see this site can't be reached. So what's going on there, guys? And this is mean you haven't read known issues. The last paragraph of it talks about that issue right there. Okay, so many or most browsers seem to have a problem reverting HTTP back from HTTPS. So that's what we're having right now. See this S at the end? I don't know if you can guys see it, but I'm gonna delete that S and try again, and nothing gonna happen. And the reason, because it's gonna go right back to HTTPS. So I need to clear browsing data. How do I do that? I figure I just click here on that settings, delete data here, and reset all permissions, and then I go ahead here on the right and delete browsing data altogether. So we delete all the data, and I have to close this tab. After all this done, I'm gonna close this tab with this miner. Don't try to reuse it, because you're gonna go ahead and just get HTTPS back. So after you're done with that, you just go ahead and type 192.168, well, wherever your IP address, and click enter, and you're supposed to get back to your web GUI. So it's very simple process. Now the other way, if you're planning to install back your firmware, let's say you reset it for any reason and you want to install back pbFarmer'S firmware, you can just simply go incognito window, open a new incognito window here on the right upper corner, and you dial up from there. And you can also access your browser by typing in for a new incognito window. Sometimes after you do it twice in incognito window, your incognito window will also get your browser data needs to be cleared. So that's It's a little bit weird, but it is what it is. So now you know how to get back to your mining, and you're getting back to the mining pool. Now notice this, after I factory reset my miner, I have all my mining pools and everything already there. Isn't it cool? So I didn't have to set up anything, and I should be up and running without doing any work. And how did I do that? That's probably a new should be a separate video, but with pbFarmer'S firmware it's possible now, because after you install it, you don't need to go to UART. You already have access to your folders, and you can basically get some files there edited and have this reset files edited the way you need to be after factory reset to get to these settings, which is kind of cool, I figured. But that's a separate, probably deserves video, because it's already almost an hour we here in this video. And we're back in mining, and you could see we are at 100 watts. So we will probably take a little bit until we start getting hash rate. Let's restart, see how far we are. Did we get any accepted share? Yeah, 70 accepted shares, so we're gonna see the hash rate pretty soon. It's almost 5 minutes. Sorry about for the long video, but I wanted to show all these details, all the problems that I dealt with, or you could potentially deal with. That could be your fans, you know, all that kind of stuff with the related to the fan power. So just be mindful to properly connect back your fans and make sure the fans are clear and they're spinning freely as well, because they need to reach 3000 RPM. Okay, yeah, and don't exceed your pools by 8. So 8 would be the maximum. That's what I've tested, that worked. After 8 you add 9 and you'll be out of business here for your adjustments. So be mindful with that. Also know that you potentially can damage your device even though you're doing everything, and not every device is the same, so it could take overclocks differently and you can potentially damage your device even though you think like, oh, I had everything done correctly, right? Have one of the miner out of 20 obviously, but it has these power stages there on the back of this power stages. Those are square boxes, I forgot what it is, the coils or whatever. One of them got darker and I think it's overheated somehow, so those probably also not a bad idea to add those sticky heat sinks right on the back there. I'm probably gonna do that for the for future miners. I mean, that just to prevent overheating them as well. That's probably about it. So I'm pretty much ready to go back in, and just gonna show you guys that this miner back in mining. It will probably be in another few refreshes, or we can open iceriver monitor tool and also make sure we 625. We're back on 625 clocks, and we'll be mining up and soon, probably very quickly here. It's been already 6 minutes. Usually sometimes it takes 5 to 7 minutes to actually show the hash rate, and we are 101 watts here. So here we go on the iceriver monitor tool. Temperatures of the chips are fine. We are getting, we should have to, we should see the hash rate here very, very shortly. Wonder why it didn't show up yet. We have 188 accepted shares. We are up and mining on, should show up on the pool already probably, unless we got disconnected. Okay, I'm not gonna go through that stuff. So should have the hash rate by now. What's going on here? Hurry up. Okay, let's do that. Bridges. Did I miss any? Probably not. Okay, so we are back to the workers. Let's see. Yeah, I didn't disconnect the miner yet because we kind of pretty quickly started over. All right, here you go. We have 386 hash rate picking up, so no issues. You can get back safely to the stock firmware, factory firmware, and there is no issue. And plus, on top of it, now you have access to the root system of the files with the help of this firmware. So click the like button, consider subscribing to my channel if you like this content, and we'll see you guys on the next video.